Hi, I'm Curt Frye. In this movie, I would like to continue my discussion of the traveling salesman problem, specifically how to create a map of a traveling salesman path that you find using the evolutionary engine in Solver in Excel. The sample file I'm using is called TSP Math, and you can download it using the link that I provide in the video description below. In this workbook, I have already found a solution for a 24-node network, and because I have described how to set up traveling salesman problems several times, I won't do it here in this movie. There are other movies in this playlist that show you how to do it. Instead, let's focus on creating a map of our path that we have here in row 27. So you can see the numbers there. So I'll scroll down until we just have the solution visible. I'll need to do some lookups to reprocess the data. Basically, the idea is that I want to have the stations, instead of being in order as they are in the original list, be in the order that they are in G27 through AD27. So I will click here in cell A29 and I'll type station X and Y, and I will do a little bit of formatting so it's obvious I'm creating a data list or table, and go back up. And then for the stations, rather than enter them by hand, I can use a formula. So in A30 I'll type equal, and then transpose, and my array will be G27 through AD27. Remember that the value here in AE27 is equal to the value in G27, so we don't need to worry about that. And we are going to be copying this array down, so I'll press F4 to make it absolute, and then type array parentheses and enter, and we get our values, and you can see that they are in the order that is listed here in our solution. Now we need to look up the X and Y coordinates for each of the stations. And again, rather than going for the order that we have in the original table, we need to do a lookup. So I'll type equal, and we can just use a simple VLOOKUP for this. The lookup value will be in A30 for this first item. I will leave that reference relative, so it will change when we copy the value down. The table array is up top, and that is A2 through C25, and I'll scroll back down. I don't want that to change, so I'll press F4 to make it absolute, then a comma. The column index number for X is the second column, then a comma, and we want an exact match, so I'll type false, right parentheses and enter. And 16 has an X position of 36, so I'll scroll up, and yep, 16 is 36. Now we can do the same thing for the Y coordinate, so that's equal, VLOOKUP, A30, again, leave it relative so it will change. The table array, and I'll copy A2 through C25, and F4, so it's an absolute or unchanging reference, and a comma. Column index number is 3, so that's 1, 2, 3 from the original table, comma, and then false, so we get an exact match, right parentheses and enter. And we get 36, 35, which are the correct coordinates for station 16. Now I can copy these formulas down. So I've selected B30 and C30, and then I will double click the fill handle at the bottom right corner of the selected range. I know I'm in position when the mouse pointer changes to a black crosshair. So double click, and everything gets copied down, and there are my positions in the order of the path that we found as our solution. And now I can select the values in B29 through C53, go to the Insert tab, and we'll use an XY scatter chart. So I will click the Insert Scatter button, and then I'll choose the second option, Scatter with Smooth Lines and Markers. Click that, and there we have our solution. And I will drag it around to make it larger. So there are a couple of things to note. The first is that we don't have labels on any of our positions, and also we have a gap, which is here, for the first two nodes. So this is probably number one, and this is probably the last one, or it could be in the opposite order. So what we can do is change our transpose formula in A30. And instead of going from G27 to AD27, we'll go to AE27 and enter. And we get the extra 16 at the bottom. And here we can copy down the VLOOKUP like we did before. But we also need to update the chart and the data it references. So I'll click there, then do chart design for that tab on the ribbon, select data, and then we will edit the series. So we have the series name at the top. We don't have to worry about that. And the series X values will go from B30 to B54. And the Y values will go from C30 to C54. And that just includes the two new values we just added. So I'll click OK. Click OK. And we have been updated. So basically we have two copies of point number 16, but that will work for our mapping. The next that we can do is add labels. To add data labels to our individual points, click the plus sign here, and then check data labels. And you can see that they have been added, except that we have numbers. Instead of 1 through 24, we have 46, 45, and those are probably the Y coordinates. And in fact, if I look at this one here, we have the point of 32 and 49, so our labels are the Y coordinates. We can edit that by pointing to data labels in the flyout, and then clicking more options. And that gives us the Format Data Labels task pane. So we have our label options. Currently, yep, we have the Y value. So I will clear that. So I want the values from cells. So label contains, so I'll check values from cells. And the label range will be the station number. So that goes from A30 to A53. Click OK. And there are the values. So I'll click there. And if you want to move or reposition one of the labels, you can do that by clicking any label. And actually, I'll do number 10 first. So I'll click that. And then I'll click number 10. And then I'll move the mouse pointer. Actually, I'll make the box a little bit larger. Then I'll drag that down. There we go. Basically, when you have a four-way arrow, a four-way black arrow, that means that you will be able to move the item in question. So there's number 10, and then I'll click number 21 individually and make it a little bit larger so it's easier to grab. There we go. So that's 21. I'll move it down. And the same thing for 7 and 6. So we have number 7 there at the top. So I'll drag that away. And we have number 6 below it. So I will make that a little bit larger. And then move, there we go. Moved part of the plot area. So there is number 6. Actually, I will click number 7. Then I'll click number 6 again. There's my mouse pointer. There we go. Move it down. And I could do the same thing with other items in the chart. Labeling is an individual thing. So make sure that you move the labels individually and you can get exactly what you need. So if I click away and we can see the chart, there are a couple of things to note. The first is that this is a circuit. It is a loop. So regardless of whether we start at number 1 or number 15, because of the way this problem is set up, the distance that you travel will always be the same. So if you need to start at station number 9 on one day and station 21 on the next, that's fine, because as long as you go in the order that is described by this path, you will find the optimal solution. or at least the best solution that you could find using the evolutionary engine in Solver. I hope you enjoyed this discussion on how to create this type of map. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to my channel.